Late in the evening. I thought I'd just jump on here. I've been neglecting this channel all week, and I don't want to do that. I've been doing a lot of stuff on Rumble. So I've been doing stuff daily on Rumble. So if you want to see daily content, go to Rumble and give me a follow at Empty Pockets Podcast. But I'm still here on YouTube. Uh, it'll just be on this channel. It will not be on my Empty Pockets Garage channel no more. But I will still be doing this no matter what. Every Sunday at 7 p.m. I will be simulcasting on both channels, YouTube and Rumble. Just reading about I've got the press conference that the local police have done today on this. I don't want to butcher her name up. Let's see here. It is Latarsha Brown, I think. Hey, Jason, how you doing? So this Latarsha Brown, who is a Allentown city school employee. Yeah, YouTube Rumble is the future. That's most definitely. Yeah, if you want to follow me on my uncensored content, Rumble is the place to follow me at my Empty Pockets podcast. Like I said, I've been live streaming daily, usually in the mornings. But like I said, I'll still be doing both channels on Sunday nights. But on this, why is it that with all the stuff that goes on in the world, these people feel like they need to fabricate a hate crime? I mean, we have enough hate crime going on right now with all the Tesla cars being keyed, set on fire, shit wiped on, people digging that shit out of their asses and wiping on the cars. I mean, we have enough of that going on. And why would this? Now, think about this, everybody. It's an Allentown city school employee perpetrating a racial hate crime. And, they took it seriously. You got to take these things seriously because you want to think, okay, if there is a hate crime, we ain't got no place in this country for that anymore. That's just ridiculousness. But it happens so rarely that they have to fabricate something. It's Jusse Smolette 2.0. But this is an employee of a school district that pretty much is wanting to start trouble with the white community. Basically, she's picking a fight with the white community. Why would she do that? Does she not have like co-workers who are white? Is there a problem in that office that she feels like she needed to do this? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. And why would Jusse Smollett was just Hollywood arrogant. Plus, his mama was laying down with one of the originators of the Black Panthers and all them other groups of people. So you kind of seen his mindset. You know what I'm saying? But this is a city employee, basically. I'm sorry, guys. I'm reading y'all's chats there real quick. Okay, so the name of my channel on Rumble is Empty Pockets Podcast. So that's it. Because I have a car channel on YouTube. It's called Empty Pockets Garage. Well, I didn't want it to be about cars, obviously. So I removed the garage and we just made it Empty Pockets podcast because my lifestyle is empty pockets. I'm the poorest person on YouTube and the poorest person on Rumble now. So my pockets stay empty. So it's Empty Pockets podcast. And the Jimmy Pockets on YouTube, which if you're on YouTube, that's what you're watching it on. Um, that was a play on words way back when this whole Haitian thing popped off in Springfield, Ohio. That's people got to know me through that. So, but we're here now. This is what we're doing. So I don't know whether to feel sorry for this, the Tarsha Brown, or to be pissed off at her. And does she not have, I was just getting ready to say, does she not have coworkers who are white, who are possibly her friends? And she felt the need to do this. And I mean, she took the time to fashion a little noose, to set it on her desk, and then call the authorities. So she knew exactly what she was doing. It wasn't something that got out of hand. The only thing is she got caught. Why? Because they investigate these things thoroughly. Why is that? Because a hate crime has a series of punishment attached to it. So if you get charged with a hate crime, you're going to do some time. So the authorities take this stuff seriously, as they should. But then, if an individual would have actually had done this and they'd have got charged with a hate crime and say convicted, they'd be going to prison. Should not the perpetrator of the hoax be charged with the same thing? Because this basically is a hate crime in itself. She has tried to start some kind of a friction within amongst the races. For what purpose? What end? She'll never have a good relationship with her coworkers now. She'll be too toxic. Nobody will want to talk to her. She should at least lose her job. I think she ought to lose her freedom, because this in itself is a hate crime, because she's hating on, one would have to assume, white people, because that's what the whole noose implies from back in the KKK days and the days of beyond before that, the days of slavery, which none of us were around for that. So it happens so rarely anymore that all you ever see anymore is the hoax of the crime. That's what it is. It's all. And I tell you what, it's how you worked in NASCAR, Rusty. Yeah, where the pull rope was a noose. Bubba was his name, and you seen all the sympathy he got, all the people hugging on him. You know what I mean? And let's say he made a mistake. He thought that's what it was, even though it wasn't. And he played that up. Don't get me wrong. But this lady here created this noose herself, just like Jusse Smolette created that entire scenario, the whole acting scenario that went along with it, and getting the clothesline and making a noose out of it and make sure he hung it on his neck. I mean, you know, I could almost give the NASCAR guy a little leeway. But not this Allentown, Pennsylvania city school employee. What's this, YouTube? 60% of black women, I'm trying to read this here, leaving university work and local government, their Democrat brainwashing leaves them seeing racism everywhere it's not. So they are left to invent a crisis that's not real. True. But like I said, I'm sure her coworkers, there's white people in the same office that she works in. She's just created an environment, a toxic environment for nothing. That's what she thinks of her coworkers. That's what I'm saying. Does she not have any white friends? And if she does, I'd almost guarantee they're college educated, liberal white women, the Karens of the world. I mean, I hope she gets. She's only going to get charged, from what I understand. And I'll play this video to refresh my memory. But this is only, from the today's press conference from the investigation and what they found out. But they're talking about charging her with, filing a false police report. I say bullshit. I say it's a hate crime. You did that. You made the noose. You set it on your desk. You called the authorities and said you've been a victim of a racial hate crime. You should be charged with a hate crime. Papa, it's not streaming on Rumble tonight. I did my Rumble live stream this morning. I'm trying to do a balance between the two, Papa. I apologize. Yeah, this is only on my Jimmy Pockets channel tonight. I'm telling everybody to follow me on Rumble. I do daily live streams on Rumble now, and I'm only going to do the Jimmy Pockets every now and then, like tonight, and every Sunday at 7 p.m. If for those who don't want to leave YouTube or even like to get on Rumble, some people don't like to get on Rumble for whatever reason, which is fine. So I'll still put content out on YouTube, but I have to watch how and what I say on YouTube. On Rumble, I do not. Rumble, you get 110% of this guy. You don't get 110% on YouTube. So I suggest if you want the rest of the story, follow me on Rumble. But saying that, if you're on YouTube, I'm here on YouTube tonight. Let me play this video, guys, of this press conference. Gotta jump over to this, do this.
Good afternoon. My name is Charles Roque. I'm the Chief of Police of Allentown. I'm joined at the podium by Captain Steve Bilkovitz and Detective Harold Bonzer of our Criminal Investigations Division. The purpose of this press conference is to provide an update regarding the noose investigation. I want to take a moment to thank the following agencies who assisted in this case: the Lehigh County District Attorney's Office, the Pennsylvania State Police Crime Lab, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation. The Allentown Police Department conducted a thorough investigation, including interviews of persons, analysis of evidence, and consultation with the District Attorney's Office of Lehigh County. As a result of the subsequent investigation, LaTarsha Brown was charged with tampering with or fabricating physical evidence, a misdemeanor of the second degree, and false reports to law enforcement, a misdemeanor of the third degree. As in every criminal case, the fact that a warrant has been issued or a complaint has been filed is merely an accusation. The defendant is presumed innocent until and unless proven guilty in a court of law. I'm now going to ask Captain Milkovitz to provide a summation of this investigation.
Good afternoon, everybody. Captain Milkovitz, Criminal Investigations Division. On January 10, 2025, at approximately 7:11 a.m., Allentown City employee LaTarsha Brown arrived at her office on the third floor of City Hall. At approximately 7:38 a.m., Ms. Brown notified the Allentown Police Department that she discovered what she believed to be a noose on her desk upon arriving at work. Officers assigned to the Community Outreach Unit, Crime Scene Identification Unit, and Criminal Investigations Unit responded, initiating a criminal investigation to identify the individual responsible for placing the noose on Ms. Brown's desk. During the investigation, video surveillance and building access control records were reviewed to identify city employees present on the third floor of City Hall between the time Ms. Brown left for work on the afternoon of January 9, 2025, and her arrival on the morning of January 10th. Those employees were interviewed. Each was asked if they would provide a buccal swab for DNA testing if needed. Every employee agreed, except for Ms. Brown. Initially cooperative, Ms. Brown later requested that the investigation be discontinued. The noose was submitted to the Pennsylvania State Police Crime Lab for DNA testing on January 14, 2025. On January 24, 2025, a search warrant was approved by the Lehigh County District Attorney's Office for Ms. Brown's DNA, and a DNA sample was obtained that same day. On January 27, 2025, Ms. Brown's buccal swab was submitted to the Bethlehem Regional Crime Lab of the Pennsylvania State Police for comparison with DNA profiles recovered from the noose. On March 10, 2025, the Forensic DNA Division of the Pennsylvania State Police issued a written report indicating that Ms. Brown's DNA matched the DNA profile obtained from the swabs of both the outer surface and inner knotted portion of the noose after it was taken apart. No other person's DNA profiles found on the evidentiary items involved in this investigation. As a result of this investigation earlier today, Detective Harold Bonds of the Allentown Police Department filed charges against LaTarsha Brown at District Court 31-2-01 for the criminal offenses outlined earlier by Chief Roca. Thank you.
Had to bring back up the chat. Yeah, so I was under the impression she was a city school employee, but it looks like she worked for City Hall. So she was an Allentown city employee. Somehow that, in my opinion, makes it worse. So how does she treat somebody that doesn't look like her when they come into the courthouse and whatever business they have to do with her downtown? She'll have to lose her job over this for sure. There ain't no doubt about that. That's a guaranteed deal. Yeah, YouTube. They did let Jusse Smolette off. You know why? Y'all remember that? So he was found guilty and he went to jail. And you remember what he was screaming when he was being hauled away? I am not suicidal. I am not suicidal. Then he gets locked up and he don't last 48 hours because he's crying like a bitch. And why would they let him out? Would they let anybody else out? I mean, come on. I mean, he literally, that's what he did. He cried like a little bitch. And they let him out. And then he stayed out. And then they eventually removed the charges from him, or at least counted it as time served or some kind of dumb shit like that. But this happens so rarely in this country anymore, they have to make it up. I wish they wouldn't feel this way. I don't understand why they feel like they need to do this. You know, as far as I was concerned, at least somebody correct me if you didn't see this in your own personal life. Growing up through I grew up in the 70s and was a young adult in the 80s. And in the 90s, you heard less and less of this kind of thing. Hardly any of it, actually. And then in the 2000s, after 9/11, it seems like it wasn't really an issue going, in this country. And then Obama gets in office. And all of a sudden, everything is seen through the eyes of color. They made it something it was not. It's like they were bringing back the greatest hits. It's like they missed being a victim, so they had to pull it all the way back from up out of the 60s up into the mid 2000s to make it an issue when there really wasn't an issue. But it seemed like every time something happened during the time Obama was in office, it was seen through the eyes of race, color. If by chance, and if y'all know this to be a fact too, let's say there was a shooting somewhere or something horrific happened. You always know when it wasn't a white person. And do you know why? Because sometimes it took them days, even weeks, to report the race and gender of the individual. If it was a white person, you'd know that night. Y'all know this to be true. That's right, Papa. Divide and conquer. That's been the plan. That was the Clintons' plan, believe it or not. But 9/11 derailed their whole plan. Bush was in office a little bit longer than they expected. They didn't expect him to be president, period, but for the hanging Chad in Florida. So 9/11 kind of slowed their agenda down a little bit. Then Obama got in office. And it started rolling along again. Everything was seen through identity politics. If it wasn't through race, it was through sex, gender, whatever you want to call it. Gay rights, transgender rights, all these things started escalating and escalating and escalating and escalating till the last 4 years when it was like a warp drive. The last 4 years, progressivism went so fast and so far left that even the people who agreed with them somewhat, it kind of went, whoa, we got to put the brakes on here. We're going to vote for the other guy, whether we're just going to have to, swallow it a little bit and circle R for the presidential candidate. Because you mofos on the left went, poof, right off the damn highway. That's where they made their mistake. Because if they'd have done it in a little bit more even keeled, including the southern border, and y'all know as well as I do, if they hadn't allowed the southern border to be left open, what's a good word I'm looking for? Deliberately. They didn't put a curve on the numbers that they allowed in, because we all know that if they would had shrunk the numbers some and slowed that needle going over to the left, this is my left, kind of, I'm looking through a reverse deal here, so excuse me if I seem disoriented sometimes. To the left. So we might not have caught it. Biden might have been president again, but they screwed up one more time. Not only did they go warp drive on everything going to the left, they screwed with Donald Trump. For whatever reason, instead of just and he said if the country had not been ran that badly, he would have thought twice before he would have ran again. But they screwed up. They thought they needed to make him pay. How dare you run for president and win? We'll make sure you'll pay for that. You slowed our agenda down. You put a 4-year gap in our plan. We already had to deal with the last Republican for 8 years. We get you out of there in 4, but now we're going to make you regret forever running for president. And why? Because he pissed Obama off. And let's be honest, Obama pissed him off. That's why he ran the first time. Because they treated him like he was a joke. They underestimated him way too much. And he learned to regret it. Because now elections have consequences. And now everybody's talking about, well, you know, these circuit judges and all this other stuff. I say ignore them, President Trump. Because no matter what, if you don't ignore them, it's going to slow the agenda down, and it's going to cause some who don't have long attention spans, give them an opportunity to win in the midterms if enough stuff don't get done to show some kind of progress. Because we're going to have to get over a little hump here, because it's going to get a little rough here a little bit because of all the things that are happening all at once. Jobs are being lost. We're saving money, but there's still trying to get manufacturing back into this country, the tariffs, all this stuff, all of it is all at once. It's a whirlwind of stuff. If you don't make progress and you lose in the midterms, no matter what, they're going to impeach him when they gain power again. So, and they're saying they'll try to impeach him if he doesn't follow the judgments of these lower federal district federal judges. I say screw him. You're gonna try to impeach him either way. So if he can prove to the American public, the U.S. citizen, that our government is going to start working for us again, they'll lose midterms. And this stuff, kick it all the way up. That's what I say. To me, kick it all the way up to the Supreme Court. You want me to follow your ruling, you take it to the Supreme Court, and I'll deal with it then. But then, till then, I got shit to do, because the American people hired me to do a job, and you little blue area district judges can go kick rocks. Best way to handle it. Best way to handle it. So I wanted to get on here tonight and just throw that out there real quick, because that kind of was bothering me. And did you hear when it happened back in January? It's funny how we're just now hearing about it. They had to wait and go through all this long process till they could prove it was a hoax. And I guess it was a big deal at Allentown at the time. I don't know why I didn't. If it made national news, I didn't see it because something usually like this usually makes national news. Now, the only way I can think that it wouldn't have made national news is because the noose was a little thing this big sitting on her desk. So it's not like it was something that could actually hang somebody with it. So, and I'm just guessing on that. But some other news while I'm on here, I might as well just talk about this. Helena Hava, y'all know who she is. She's President Trump's like top legal advisor. She's pretty too. She gets on them news shows and she holds her own pretty well. But she's going to be the interim U.S. attorney for New Jersey. Now, I don't know if that's a plus or a minus for Trump's agenda. I'm assuming it'd be a plus, uh, but it's probably something she wants to do anyway. I mean, more power to her. She's done her fair share already for President Trump. But they seemed like they was happy for her, and she seemed happy to take the job. So that's a pretty good deal. And one other thing I want to talk about is, and I haven't heard of really too much about it. Maybe there's something I'm missing here, but I'm pretty sure that Russia and Ukraine signed a partial ceasefire agreement yesterday, but I haven't heard too much about it. So I hope that's true. I believe it is true. I mean, the news report I've seen, I know for a fact is true, but I guess it's like it's betting odds in Vegas on who will break the ceasefire first. My odds, or if I was a gambling man, I would say that it is Zelensky that will break the ceasefire. I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. Saying this, it could already be a broken deal. I don't know about it because I hadn't had the TV on in a while, and I haven't really paid attention to my phone either. So I could be just putting the old foot in mouth right now. I don't know. But anyways, tomorrow. There we go. So tomorrow I am going to talk about the leak on the Yemen strike with that Signal app. The left is trying to make a big deal about it. It's an approved app. I guess all the government phones have it on there. So, whatever. So I'm going to talk about that tomorrow on Rumble. I'm going to talk about Haitians in Springfield tomorrow on Rumble. I can't talk about it here on YouTube, uh, but I want to talk about it tomorrow on Rumble. So you may not catch me while it's during the live stream, but if you see where I've made a live stream tomorrow and you didn't catch it, watch the recording because I'm going to be talking about the Haitians. and some information about what's going on here right now. So, and then also, I got a, a kind of a deep dive into some of the things that they're finding through Doge. Go figure. Of some of the money that went to the NGOs and where it was spent south of the border. A lot of it south of the border. It was a planned deal, people. This was not something that just popped up and Biden said, "Come on in, we'll take you," and they all decided they'd run for the border from the and cross the southern border. This stuff was planned. It was pre-scheduled. There was a lot that went into this to organize this to get that many people up through the southern border, and the money they spent. And I'm gonna do a deep dive on this because this will explain why Biden had to add $2 trillion to the national debt for last budget. The money spent, our money spent, for the Biden administration to just shove it right up our ass, and they almost got away with it. They've crippled us, but we ain't dead. Another 4 years of them, and it would be an America you would not recognize. So that's tomorrow. And also, it seems like every time I do a live stream, Jasmine Crockett, Congresswoman from Texas. This fake hood rat's got this bitch just can't keep her mouth shut. She's trying to be all hood and thug, and she throws out those threatening innuendos of violence and all kinds of stuff. And now she's actually did a smackdown on a correspondent that worked for Laura Loomer. You know, tomorrow morning I'm gonna play that video because he was actually asking her some questions, or trying to ask her some questions when she did the smackdown on him. You think she'll get arrested? Because that correspondent, Laura Loomer, has already said that he is pressing charges against her. Because that was very deliberate. So we'll see where that goes. But I'm going to talk more about that tomorrow. So, guys, thanks for stepping in and hanging out for a few minutes. You heard my agenda for tomorrow's live stream. If you ain't getting me on Rumble, follow me, Empty Pockets Podcast. We'll talk about some of this, or all this, and much more. Because on Rumble, you get the rest of the story. So, guys, thanks for hanging out. I am your host, James. And until next time, I'm out of here.